Caleb Williams, Odunze, and the Chicago Bears square off with Jayden Daniels, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, and the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. A rematch of the game that all but ended the Bears season last year. The Hail Mary, or for Chicago, the Tyreek Stevenson Fail Mary. That's where we should start because the Chicago Bears defense, specifically in the secondary without the best player on their team, Jalen Johnson, has been terrible. They have done a bad job all year. One thing they have done well is take the football away. The turnovers have come. Now, what has hurt their secondary is the complementary style of which defensive football is played. You need a run offense to keep the offense on the field longer so that your defense is fresher, but also as a secondary, if your front seven can't stop the run, then you're going to be put in unfavorable positions. If a team's in 2nd and 3, they can take more shots, be more aggressive, and that's where the Bears have been gashed. They have been a bottom 5 defense through the first 5 weeks of the season, 27th in yards per game allowed, 28th in points, and one of the worst rush defenses. Now, how does that bode against the Commanders? Not at all positive. Now, they do have a bit of reinforcements coming out. TJ Edwards looks to be back from the bye week. Kyler Gordon could be suiting up for the Bears for the first time this season. As of the recording of this video, the trajectory is saying he will be playing. Grady Jarrett could be back from injury. So the Bears had the bye week at the perfect time before what legitimately could be the biggest game of their season. Now, I got to build this one up because it truly is massive. Caleb Williams was taken first overall. Jayden was taken second. Everyone knows that. You can't go 0-2 to the guy that you were taken in front of. Just a simple standpoint, that just can't happen. If you were taken that high, they won't be able to live that down for a while. That Jayden Daniels could have a 2-0 record, already been to an NFC Championship game. So this is like the game of the year for Chicago, staring at the next stretch of 4 games. Their entire season is out in front of them if they can come up with a win. Now, how can they beat Washington? Where do you attack? This is a Commanders team that has struggled on the defensive side of the football. They do give up yards, 24th in the NFL in yards per game. Caleb Williams has been productive throwing the football down the field. He's got his man in his stud wideout from Washington, Odunze. They have connected Odunze with 5 touchdowns on the season, looking like he and Caleb have developed a lot of chemistry. But here's something that you didn't know. Who would you guess has more receptions, or targets, I should say? Olamide Zaccheaus, the former Commander, a little bit of a revenge game, or DJ Moore? Zaccheaus has 22 targets to DJ Moore's 21. Pretty wild to look at that statistically. How DJ Moore's factor in this offense, a guy that went crazy against the Commanders on that Thursday night game 2 years ago. This is the 3rd year in a row these teams are squaring off. DJ had a great game. Washington without Jayden tried to claw back into that one. How does that stack up? And I think this is the 3rd year in a row they're playing in Washington, right? If I'm not mistaken. It's actually kind of wild. Let's talk about the Commanders' side of this thing. How can they defend that Bears passing attack? Well, for one, they've got a stud out of the SEC. This kid, Trey Amos, out of Ole Miss, man, is he good. And you're pairing him with Mikey Sanderstill. I call him Mikey. I watch a lot of Big Ten football. They call him Mikey. I like saying Mikey Sanderstill. He's physical. He comes up on you. He hits you. Great in press coverage. These guys like to play a physical style in phase all the time, which means hip to hip with defenders. So what? They can make plays on the football. That is why they have tons of pass breakups. That's why they've got all of those PBUs. In the middle of that defense, the ageless wonder, Bobby Wagner. It's like 3-4 years removed from when Seattle was like, here, anyone, just take this guy. And he's up top 5 in the NFL in tackles, just about doubled up anyone else. Mikey Sanderstill's got 29 tackles. Bobby Wagner has 56, 4 tackles for loss. He's playing as good a football as he's had at any time in his career. Still good in pass protection and still never misses a tackle just about. His partner, Frankie Louvu, not too bad as well. But where my eyes are fascinated on this one is that Chicago Bears interior. You went out and got Joe Thuney at left guard, and you were saying, okay, we really need to stack up. Drew Dahlman at center, Jackson at right guard. This is going to be an ability for us to lean on teams and run the football well. Injuries to the offensive line have sort of thrown a wrench into that. Darnell Wright, he's been banged up, got hurt against Dallas. They inserted Theo Benedict over there. Braxton Jones at left tackle, he was pulled out, so they had to rotate Benedict to left tackle. And then Ozzie Trapillo comes in, plays right tackle against Max Crosby against the Raiders. Actually did a pretty decent job. I'm going through a lot of the intricate details here because of the importance of the run game. Chicago has to find a way to take some of the pressure, alleviate him and what he will need to do in this game, because Washington will be opportunistic. If you remember that game last year, Chicago should not have been in that game at all. Why I got to bring that up to support a little bit of this one is the Commanders kicked 4 field goals when they had the ball inside the 30 on the day in that one. If they just kicked 2, that's not even a game in the fourth quarter. But Caleb was able to do it with his legs at times, extending drives, leading what should have been the game-winning touchdown because he was mobile. When plays broke down, he was able to extend with them, like he had a nice throw to Keenan Allen there on that drive. He was running around making plays, but that can't last for 4 quarters. Why? Because this Washington Commander front is the real deal. They get a ton of pressure on the quarterback. They've got 15 sacks so far on this season. I love what they have in the interior. Jimmy Jerzon Newton. You might not have heard of him if you're a Chicago Bear fan, and you should. Why? Because he went to U of I. He was in Illinois Fighting Illini. Shout out the Illini, who got a big game against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Saturday. If they're 17-1, that's a bunch of fun. But Newton, I was expecting him to take that leap. I watched a whole bunch of him at Illinois. He had a huge game against Penn State where he all but disrupted that thing. If Altmaier didn't throw like 4 interceptions, they would have been in that one. He's a game wrecker in the middle of that defense. And next to the former Chicago Bear, Eddie Goldman, he's got 2 tackles for loss on the season, not to mention a guy by the name of Von Miller, who's been inserted into this defense. Von Miller's got 3 sacks on the year for Washington. They've got guys up front defensively, and that's not even to mention Deron Payne, who might be their best defensive lineman. They are stacked up front defensively. In Chicago, if you have Caleb in 3rd and long throughout the day, they don't have a chance. Washington stacks up as a roster now, getting Terry McLaurin back. Deebo Samuel's been a monster, and they've got depth. I haven't even mentioned who's been the best player for Washington, arguably, so far this season. I'll be mentioning Bill. Don't worry, Commander fans. But you need an ability to run the football better than what DeAndre Swift so far has on the season. 3.3 yards to carry. The Bears running it for 3.8 on the season. That simply isn't good enough. I think this is a Caleb Williams 9-carry game for 64 yards, and he creates, and off schedule he can pick up 3-4 first downs himself. But in order to beat Washington, you have to see a bit of burst. Remember last year's game? It was 12-0, and then bam, he broke one for 55 yards. Chicago is only 12-7. There was all that energy. You're hearing the let's go Bears chants in the stadium. There was some juice, and then they were in that game, wind up taking the lead after that fiasco at the goal line. Caleb leads them down the field. They got to run the football. Now, you know who's been running the football well? Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. And it's almost like rubbing it in of what they could do to Chicago in this game, because the Bears needed a running back. Every mock draft was talking about them getting Amarion Hampton or Ashton Genty everywhere, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. They were going to find a way to get Cam Scattaboo in the backfield, Caleb Johnson, all of these talented running backs. And then it's a 7th rounder, Bill Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, but we call him Bill around here. He's been unbelievable for Washington this season, decimating the Los Angeles Charger front, running through them, lots of explosive runs. He's running the football better than anyone in the NFL, and since yards a carry, he's at 6.6, seemingly untackleable. He's run for 17 first downs, and then there's the element. I'm sorry, TJ Edwards, but I got to call you out. This is a guy that you might be scared to go up against in the open field. If you remember this game last year, I watched every snap. I rewatched the entire game also. Maybe the highlights as well a couple of times because it was such a crazy game. It was an instant classic the way it finished up. Jayden Daniels made TJ Edwards look silly. I don't know if they'll show it during the broadcast. I hope that whoever's doing it is a little bit easy on whether it's Buck Aikman or whether you've got Chris Fowler. I'm not sure where that stacks up. But Daniels in the open field, he's a problem. How willing is he as a runner to go after Chicago and their linebackers? Remember, TJ Edwards looked like he's on track to be out there in this game. You don't want to be in the spot where you're one-on-one with Jayden Daniels. Please, Montez Sweat, hold the edge and contain. Dayo Odangbo, please be there. Don't let him get into that second level because TJ is a great tackler. He's very good in coverage, but you just can't ask some of these guys with a one-on-one to bring down Jayden Daniels. But it begs the question, how aggressive is Jayden running the ball? Again, his frame, he's a body type with that lean mass that can be susceptible to take hits, right? He's not the thicker, stocky build of a Caleb Williams. He's 6'4", 6'5", a little bit lighter than what Caleb is. So you're going to see him take shots, and you can see the impact already with the sprained knee. Last season was going into the Bears game, didn't even know he would play. I can't quite remember now. I think it was it the back injury he was dealing with? He wasn't right, but he was still making plays. He was healthy enough to throw the ball like 60 yards on that Hail Mary throw. So Jayden Daniels and his mobility, how willing is he as a runner to take off and scramble? Because it's just a big part of his game. On the season, the efficiency's been there. He's got 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, hasn't been sacked a ton, but the protection does need to be better. You're going up against a Chicago team that has not rushed the passer all that well. They've only got 5 sacks on the season. They got to be better. They had a guy in Austin Booker. Bears fans love this kid. He had like 6 sacks in preseason and then got hurt before the season started. And the pass rush has been horrible. They haven't been getting pressure on anybody on the year so far. So if they can get Austin Booker back, he's expected to be back off the bye. They could use a bit of that physical 6'4", 245-pound burst off the edge, an athlete out of Kansas. He's been a guy that they've been very high on, and they could really use him. But look, Montez Sweat, another opportunity, revenge game here against the Commander team you lost to last year. Still always a revenge game when you lose to a team, and then when you're a former player and you lost to that team, it's like double extra revenge. Montez Sweat looked great for Chicago against Washington. Can he be a larger impact? You go back to last season and combine this year, he really has not been great. Being a game wrecker, making $25 million a year, getting paid all that money. We need more disruption, more pressures, more sacks of the quarterback, disrupting drives. It's just necessary in order for this team to take that step, right? The whole talk about teams is whether or not you are able to run the football. Can you execute in the red zone? How are you on third down? But also in this day and age, when you're paying those pass rushers and they're such a pivotal part of your salary cap and the allocated money towards defense, which you have in Chicago, can Montez Sweat get to Jayden Daniels at some point? Can they put him on the ground at least 2 or 3 times to slow down that Washington offense if they are not able to keep Caleb and that offense out there on the field? I think an X factor in this game, whether or not he plays, to be honest, I don't know the availability of Colston Loveland right now. On the other side, Terry McLaurin, it looks like he will be a go. Noah Brown, it looks like he'll be a go. That was the guy that caught the touchdown on you in the end zone on it. But I'll say those guys, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, he brings an amount of juice that's just so tough to cover. He can run any routes, not afraid to go over the middle, not afraid to run the goal ball and take the top off. Tyreek Stevenson will have the important duty of covering him. Deebo Samuel is important, your Swiss Army knife. Chicago's tried to make DJ Moore a little bit of that, tried to get a little bit of some juice in the run game, giving him some carries, but DJ Moore's getting paid the big bucks, and he's not even been wide receiver 2 so far, really, on this season. It's been more so Olamide Zaccheaus, and they've tried to get the tight ends going. Is Colston Loveland back after the hip injury? Status of him is unknown. DeAndre Swift's been getting his opportunities out of the backfield. The Bears love screen plays and dumps offs in the flat, which you love as a quarterback. Getting through your progressions, that's been the question for Caleb Williams. How can he develop as a passer to, okay, left side of the field, first read not there. Okay, working here. Second read not there. All right, Cole Kmet. Now we're working to the third on the right side here with that hitch. No, it's not open. All right, dump it off in the flat. DeAndre Swift, go get 4 or 5 yards, live for a second down. Or it's take off and run. Against a great pass rush like Washington, you just don't have that time to wait. All right, 1 hitch, 2 hitch, 3. In this type of game, I don't know if you can get to that 4th read. It's more like first hitch, second hitch, 3. No, take off and go, because that's how the Commanders have been very good at sacking the quarterback and getting to him. As far as a lean, I'm thinking that the Washington Commanders stack up with a more productive defensive front. I like the guys that they have on that side of the ball. I haven't liked the way the Bears have defended the run. Washington's run the football well. I don't like the way that Chicago has run the football. Washington has defended the run decently, like they were able to hold Ashton Genty in check a couple of weeks ago. It's tough to evaluate the way the team played without, like against Atlanta in that game. I kind of toss a little bit out the window because they didn't have Jayden Daniels. I guess it was a great game a couple of weeks ago, right, when they played the Raiders. But again, no Jayden. Hard to fully evaluate those games, but there's the opportunity. I'm going to say that the Washington Commanders come out with a win in this game by a score of 27-23. As of right now, the spread is 4.5 points. That feels about right, but this is a Chicago team that you just feel like they're going to have some juice. Getting guys back on the defensive side of the ball, being a bit better against the run. A player in Kyler Gordon, Spider-Man, he's athletic as it gets. He can do backflips. Probably he could do a backflip probably anywhere. He's unbelievable as a talent in the nickel. Getting a player of that caliber back is huge for this defense. He's a guy that can come off the edge. He can line up against a tight end, cover a slot wide receiver. He's got good bend. I mean, he's an impact player. To get him back, they're going to need immediate production from him. So Chicago just don't like the matchup in the trenches so far. They're really trying to build that continuity as an offensive line. If a loss here happens, does it kill their chances? No. But does it really put a sour taste in the way it's gone so far in the Caleb Williams era, especially Ben Johnson? Yes, it does, because Caleb would be 0-2. Jayden would be 2-0. Again, they've already been a game away from the Super Bowl, and it's like, man, like, did we miss out on that one? Or can the narrative completely flip? The way Caleb has been efficient, not turning the football over, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season, quarterback rating better, Bears being the 11th scoring offense in football, 18th in yards, so the offense has made the steps. Can they get the win here and start proving the doubters wrong, be 3-2, and get ready for a stretch of the season where they can really start to make hay? And this would be a statement win. Equate it to the Patriots beating the Bills on the road. This would be as big, if not bigger, for what it would mean in the sense of quarterback Caleb Williams getting Jayden Daniels back. So I appreciate you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments who you think wins this game. Do you agree with me that the Commanders will win, or do you think Chicago is able to pull the upset? Thank you so much for watching this Blitz with Blender video. I make NFL and college content every day. So fired up for this one. This is my favorite game of this week because it's such a hinge game for both of these squads. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Appreciate it. Best player in college football. That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.